starting with code.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Code Department report covering the period August 1 through 31 of this year. Some of the highlights from the report. 39 code inspections. We had a total of 43 permits. Those continue to pick up, so that's nice to see. The business, the new and renewals, or the new and closed business, we had 11 that are listed under new, and 5 that are listed under closed, but 4 of the 5 that were closed were actually just a name change, so they're also included in the new business list. So there was a net loss of 1 business there. Let's see, the major projects that were permitted in that period were the Dunkin' Donuts and the Burger King, and also a project at the Walmart Distribution Center. The St. Anna's Church was one of the ongoing projects at that time, still an ongoing project. So we worked with the city marshal on business license, delinquent licenses. The city marshal removed 34 signs from the roadway, wrote 183 repair cleanup orders, investigated 6 tampering cases, and issued 4 citations. Planning and zoning heard several rezone and variance requests and conditional use. If you have any questions on the remainder of the report, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Becky. Electric and telecom.
Thank you, Mayor. Total bill for electric ended up being $1,196,107.13 for 15,361,024 kilowatt hours. We are currently working in the telecommunications side. We are currently working on porting out our phones from one phone provider to another, and that process is going very well. We're moving a large bulk of our customers to a platform that is a little bit we feel is very, very reliable and is shown to be reliable for us. The process is seamless for our customers. They don't even know it's happening when it happens, but in the end result, it's going to be very, very good for all of our phone customers here in the city. The McDaniel and Charlotte Route update. The McDaniel project's been put off due to rain, and now that the rain's finally cleared out, hopefully they'll be able to continue on that. For Charlotte Route, they've ordered the material for that, and that's where we stand on those 2. And then the last item of interest is the wireless deployment going out on Hodges Mill, which is going very, very well. I've personally been involved in a lot of that out there. We've turned up a total of 4 customers just this week. I have another one tomorrow and another one for the first thing Monday. And we can't hardly even go out there and do our job without people stopping us on the side of the road and wondering what all's going on out there and pretty much begging us for service. That project is going along, moving ahead very, very well. We're very excited about that. If anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them as I can for you.
Mike, have we got any additional wireless sites scheduled?
I do know of one particular place that they are looking at. The subdivision escapes my name, unfortunately, at the time. I know it is out in Oconee County off of, I want to say, Clockfelter Road. We were looking into the possibility of maybe doing that. We don't know if we can yet or not. But I know Mr. Thompson is working with Oconee County and trying to get some of our wireless utilities or wireless assets in a position to where we can very easily serve multiple customers in there. So that's kind of been the hold up there. But there are definitely many more sites that we'd love to bring service to, for sure.
We wouldn't run into any problems like we ran into with, what was that? Gas. Okay.
I think that's all been looked at.
I would hate for that to pop up again somewhat like that.
Mike, are we doing any more wireless in the city?
We have done a couple of places here in the city. I don't know, most of y'all maybe have seen up on the water tower there that they've deployed 9 wireless radios up there. It has helped fill a niche where uploading capacity has been an issue in our cable modem system for customers that do a lot of work on the cloud and have to send a lot of files. That's worked out really great. The wireless has been a perfect solution for that. And we have deployed about 3 or 4 customers in the city on that. We haven't gotten a lot of requests of it just yet, but I believe once word of mouth gets around, you know, how great the product is and how great the service is working, I don't think that'll be a problem. Right? You know, we'll be able to use more customers on that as well.
I think it's fair to say too, we're really more so in the testing phase of this. Like Mike said, I think we only have about 5 or 6 in the city.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Right now, so we just want to make sure, you know, it's a good product before we market it.
Any other questions? Finance. Matthew will be 25 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take that. If you just look at all the indicators here, we're trending as normal. This time last year, our cash balances look really good. This time of year, we're, you know, I don't want to say struggling, but you know, we're kind of low on cash. But we've done a great job, especially in the general fund, and you know, watching our expenses. So we're sitting in a good position for this time of year. One thing I did want to point out was we just have rolled out our e-bill function, so our customers will be able to sign up to receive their bills online. They can actually, when they do that, they can request that they not get a paper bill, but they just get a digital statement. And so I actually signed up for that this afternoon to make sure it works and everything's good to go. So customers should be receiving a insert into their current bills this month, as well as through the newsletter. So we just want to encourage all customers to do that. You can actually, with the e-bills, go back and view a few months prior, so you can, you know, compare your bills and see how that compares to the last maybe 3 or 4 months. Other than that, in the finance department, take notice of the QR codes that's on your bills. You know, like for this month, you should that QR code should take you directly to the e-bill website where you can register. But I believe every month, or at least every quarter, the QR codes are going to be different information. So be sure to check those out.
Any questions for Matthew? Okay, thank you, Matthew. Fire.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fire again, when we look at our telephone calls, had 225 calls to the fire department, had 207 total calls for the month of August. 84 of those were med assist. Those are, you know, running the med assist it's become a lot of our bread and butter. We do a lot of those, and that's a real benefit to our citizens, having good qualified folks to get there sometime a little earlier than our EMS service can get there. Pending your questions, that's pretty much the fire. You can see the other stuff.
Okay, police.
Police department had 3,910 calls for service, and 1,637 calls to the PD, had 415 court cases, 38 or 83 Part 1 crimes, 137 Part 2 crimes, arrested 130 adults and charged 8 juveniles. You can see the community events, pending your questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Solid waste.
Thank you, Mayor. Our stats trending down just a little bit in August compared to July. So it really hadn't changed that much. We're still averaging like 4 tons of scrap tires we're collecting each month. We replaced 63 garbage carts, 12 recycle bins. Those two numbers, we're still trying to get that bad carts off the route. And that's all I have, other than the fact that we are delivering our curbside recycling to another vendor in Conyers, Pratt Industries at $0. We were taking it to Athens, and they were starting to charge us a fee, but they're not charging us anything on that crack.
Any
Can I take
questions?
any questions?
Thank you, Danny. Streets and transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just highlighting the report for the month of August. On the admin side, we rented out the community building 4 times. Excuse me. Our fleet maintenance division serviced 58 units for the month. Our grounds crew picked up 820 pounds of litter throughout the streets. Our street division performed and repaired and patched 13 streets throughout the city and are currently tackling this obstruction, the aerial obstructions, the ground obstructions as well at the airport to get in compliance with our latest inspection there. Sign and Markets Division completed 45 work orders, and Building Maintenance Division completed 80. Just highlighting a few, one major area that we've completed on our street division has wrapped up our 2015 LMIG projects with the exception of striping the streets, and that should happen rather quickly with highway markings. Other than that, we've done our paving for the year. Everything turned out really good. Mayfield Drive, Walker Drive, and Richard Parsons Extension. Glad to get that done, and we're currently preparing to submit for LMIG 2016. I'll be glad to take any questions regarding the report.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Water, sewer, gas, and stormwater, right?
Thank you, Mayor. As far as the water division goes, the water demand was up for the month of August. We processed 92.6 million gallons of water. Also had a rise in our work orders, 121 for the month, 84 service calls, 29 emergency calls, and 26 leaks repaired. Wastewater plant, we treated 42.8 million gallons of wastewater. Wastewater collection, we 16 work orders, 10 service calls, and 6 emergency calls. Natural gas, 8,810 MCF of gas sold, 29 work orders, 4 service calls, 2 leak repairs. Stormwater was average with the past several months, 10 work orders. We got some pipes and ditches cleaned, and also the grates. And utility training academy, we had 10 classes held, 64 attended. And just an update on the 2013 CDBG is complete. They are currently working on the punch list that we have. So we're wrapping it up. Any questions on that?
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Moving our committee information, finance.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 items on the agenda. The first one is September 8th, Finance Committee minutes. That's pretty much for informational purposes. That's for everybody to look at at your own leisure. The second item is approval of purchasing policy revision. Mr. Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Adcock. I'll take that. What this is the amendment to our purchasing policies, and the reason we're doing this tonight is we're in the process of recertifying our city to be what they call LAP certified, which is to be able to locally administer projects mainly pertaining to federal funding. And to meet those criteria, we need to update our purchasing policy to include reference to the Brooks Act. Basically says that when we do put out bids for services, particularly architectural and engineering services, that we select firms that are qualified and experienced and not just based on the lowest bid. We actually already do that just as a common practice, but that needs to be reflected in our policies so we can move forward with this certification. So the policy's there if you want to reference section 19 and also appendix A. And I
And then Matthew, the rest of the policy stays the same.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, we need a motion to recommend the revision to full council.
Move to approve the purchasing policy revision as stated.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Motion and second, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll present that to full council next Tuesday. That's all we have on the agenda this evening, Mayor.
Airport.
You want to do that one, Matthew?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Scott. Just a couple of things to touch on. One is we had the annual planning session for the Airport Commission members back in September, and just really talked about the overall vision for the airport, particularly grants for terminal building, maybe some hangars, and then also the logistics of how the airport's going to be maybe master planned, if you will. So there's a lot of good discussion there, and Mr. Fussell was sorry he couldn't make it tonight. He had some other obligations to fulfill, but he'll be here next month to give us more of an in-depth look at that planning session. Also, this Saturday from 11 to 2 will be the ribbon cutting for our fuel farm, and hamburgers and hot dogs will be served out there, and we'll be selling aviation gas for $3.65. We're currently selling it for $3.95, which is pretty much the cheapest in the state, but we're going to drop it and try to get a lot of people in and hopefully sell a lot of fuel. So, other than that, that's it, Ms. Scott, on airport.
Thank you, Matthew. That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Repair of our aerial sewer main. Mr. Millbrooks.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I dropped off a bunch of pictures. See, this is a picture of the pier that sits in the center of Jack Street there along Highway 83. For a number of years, this thing has eroded, and we've made repairs ourselves to try to save the pipe and save the pier. It's to the point now, there's nothing else that we can do. We're going to either bring a contractor in and have them drive some steel pylons in and make a permanent fix on this thing. So I got two bids, one being Rutledge Crane Services at $27,760, and ER Snell was the second bid at $45,800. I'm asking for your approval for the $27,750 Rutledge Crane Service.
Why is it such a large margin between the two quotes?
Well, ER Snell told me that, one, if they got it, it'd be 3 months from now before they could do it. So I took it, he really didn't want to bid on it. And the Rutledge Crane Service actually contracts with ER Snell. They're doing some highway work with them now. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Millbrooks? I mean, this carries everything.
It does.
It's got to be fixed.
It carries everything.
And we do not want everything to go into jail. So I would make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve the Rutledge Crane Service at the amount of $27,750.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. 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 We'll recommend that to full council at the next meeting. Purchase of the variable frequency drives for the high service pumps, Mr. Millbrook.
This is the purchase two variable speed drives from the two high service pumps at the water plant. What this will do, it allows the motors to start up at a slower RPM and gradually work up to the full speed. Right now, we turn them on, it's wide open right off the bat, and that's it does damage to the motors, pumps, and so forth. So we want to install these two VFDs Low bid actually is Tech Well at $20,322.44. PMC come in lower, but they did not include their labor to install the two drives. And so Tech Well would be the low bid. This is one of my CIP projects.
We talked about this a little bit. One of the main reasons for the big differences is different equipment. But you've checked the equipment that's being used, and it's all from reputable companies.
Yeah, each one of them has their own brand they sell, but the Tech Well has the Booty drives, and we've done some research on them. They tend to be good drives and all.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve accepting the Tech Well bid.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will recommend that to council. Discussion of clubhouse utilities. Mr. Chancellor, you going to tell us about that?
Yes, sir, I will. Mr. Bradley called me and said that he had a request for us to look at, particularly the Oaks at Mill Creek Homeowners Association's utility bill and the clubhouse is the one that they were concerned about. Currently, the way we do clubhouses or anything related to a development that's not a commercial entity or residence is we treat it like a commercial. Or we bill the rates as in for the commercial rates. Anyway, so I got to looking at it. We currently have about 5 cases, I guess you'd say, whether it be clubhouses or maybe powering a gate, or whether it be street lights or irrigation for plantings around the gate or whatnot, and their own commercial rates. So just wanted to have a general discussion about how we're going to look at that, and so it's really open for discussion in the utility committee right now.
The 5 that you looked at, are they basically all homeowners associations that are paying these bills, or how?
The only one, I guess in reference to their account name, is the Oaks at Mill Creek Homeowners Association. The others, so Skyline Trace Apartments, so it would not be an HOA, it's just billed directly to that entity that manages those apartments. Or that apartment complex. Plaza Trace is another one. They're on water, sewer, electric. St. Ives Homeowners Association, that's the one I was referring to that was mainly the gate, and then some security lights as well. And it looks like maybe some irrigation around that gate. And then Highland Creek, which is a clubhouse there. The only service they have there is irrigation. So those are the 5 we have in our system that I could even compare to just do some real general analysis, and that's kind of where we are now. We've just really done some general analysis on those 5.
And the thoughts that I expressed on to Matthew as we were looking at this is, number one, I think we as a council or we as a city want to encourage residential areas. Number one. Number two, when we talk about utility rates being commercial versus residential, and these are not really commercial ventures, if you will. No one lives in the clubhouses, but they're, to make it a residence, but it's certainly not a commercial either. I think we need to either do things like particularly, and I'm thinking particularly the residential homeowners association type things like the clubhouse, either establish a separate rate for those or move them to the residential, rate. Whether we want to do them all or whether we want to limit it to certain ones, I think, is open to me, open for discussion there. For example, we've talked earlier about encouraging retirement living or 55-plus neighborhoods that we've talked about. You know, could be something like we might want to do it to those, may want to do it to all. I'm not advocating either one. I'm just giving some alternatives, I guess. But I definitely believe we want to encourage residential areas to do things as a community and be community-minded, and I think these clubhouses and things like that allow that to happen. Typically speaking, I know the Oaks that we've talked about, their bills are not real high, but when you spread it among, you know, the homeowners, they obviously it's an additional cost to them. So if we could adjust that, I think would be appropriate.
Well, I think based on the same lines as what you were saying, that, and that's why I kind of asked about which ones were homeowners associations, because to me, those are residents. The others are more akin to commercial if they're connected to a rental complex. I mean, IRS treats that as a business, and I mean, you know, that's the same kind of thing. And then and it's not the ones we just have now. To me, it's setting precedents and how we go forward. Do you think ECG or somebody could do a little study and tell us what other folks are doing and how they do it?
I feel confident they could. We send out survey questions all the time for them to, we might ask, well, how does a particular city, that's an electric city, the Georgia city, how do they do things, you know, what's their policy on this? And they usually come back with some pretty decent responses.
Well, I mean, you don't have to use them, but you could at least get their ideas.
Get some ideas.
Y'all think that might be okay? To see if we do that, people? Well,
That's good to see our options, maybe, you know, some things that we hadn't thought of that they
Well,
were.
how are you going to treat a development that is, you know, in fact, well, Highland Creek's been there a while, but, you know, you've got some that are not 75% built out, so basically the builder is still in charge until 75% built out, and then he turns it all over to them. So how are you going to handle that? Are you going to leave those commercial, or?
well, I mean, it seems to me that, you know, maybe ECG can give us some examples on that, but it does seem to me that for all intents and purposes, it's treated as commercial until it is turned over to a homeowners association.
Well, but then you think about those builders that you want to encourage to come, and I can tell you, these entrance water bills are extreme in the summer. They're huge. And then the deer are killing the vegetation. So I've had that with firsthand experience. So it's, you know, it's a toss-up, but I certainly think that we need to look at the whole picture.
I think we need, I agree with you on looking at setting precedent going forward, but a lot of what Lee's saying, I think the reason we want to do this, to me, I think of multiple reasons probably, but one of the reasons we want to do it is to encourage home ownership and home development. I mean, and home communities within home developments. So if it means on something like the new developments that we go ahead and make them at this lower rate to start with, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Because I think that's encouraging the development itself.
I think it'll, I think it increases public safety to have any type of development well lit, whether that's an apartment complex or a neighborhood or a grocery store. So, I mean, a grocery store is a grocery store, but if we can help in the residential setting, whether it be an apartment owner or a HOA or anything like that, if it's truly residential, I think that we ought to do it. I think it'll come back to us in the form of a safer environment.
That's a good point.
For the residents.
Especially
I mean, we have
lighting.
developments now where people don't pay their light bills, and you drive through there at night, and Chief Glass would know a few, and I think we'd love to see those lit. And so how do we encourage the people to light them? By charging them the highest possible rate or a reasonable residential rate. So It's my 2 cents.
But actually, some of these don't always come out to be the highest rate,
The commercial rate?
depending on use and
It
whatever.
does depend on usage, and that's something
Well, that's different. I didn't know that. I thought it was 1.5 times.
Well, it's just gonna depend on the usage again, but we've gotta, look at the numbers again and just make sure our ducks are in a row.
Well, I think that we did, can the committee agree to get ECG's opinion, then work on a policy? Because I do think it's going to have to be pretty clear-cut and across the board.
Sure.
To be able to be applied. And take it up next month.
Mm-hmm.
I feel confident ECG can turn that around in a couple of weeks. I've never sent out a survey staff does. I think maybe a couple of weeks. Debbie, do you know how long? About a week? Okay. I think it's absolutely possible.
2 weeks.
That's absolutely doable for maybe the first meeting in November.
So then is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
And I guess that being that we will ask ECG to look at it and then come up with a comprehensive policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's all we have, man.
Okay. Move back up to Public Works.
Yes, Mayor, we have one item. That's the purchase of an international with base loader. Mr. Smith, Dan.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Yeah, we're asking your approval to purchase this new knuckle boom truck. It's 2016 International chassis, 4300 with a base loader. It's from Peterson Industries, and the contract price is $130,019.02. That will be purchased through our membership with the NJPA. We're replacing that 94 knuckle boom truck that's high miles, and it's not even in operation at the time. The non-contract price you see from Peterson is $139,856. That's a cost savings of over $9,800 by going through the national contract. This is a CIP budgeted item, and we also, should you approve it, is to surplus the old truck through gov deals with the arrival of the new purchase. I'll take any questions you might have.
Okay, seeing that there aren't any questions, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been motion and second. All those in favor by sign aye.
Aye.
We will recommend this to the council at our next meeting. That'll be all, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety.
Mayor, we've got one item on the agenda tonight, approval purchase of vehicle. Chief Glass, you want to take?
Thank you, Mr. Rich. We have 2011 Wrangler that we're trying to sell at this time, which is on gov deals, or will be on gov deals. It'll have a reserve of $28,000, which that's a number that I've been given by dealers that it's worth in trade or whatever. So if it doesn't sell, we'll have a minimum trade for it. We'll use it to place our guy that's assigned to hide. He'll be in one vehicle. The other vehicle will be using seized and funds from this sale or seized assets plus insurance funds for the vehicle that was totaled out on September 17th in a not at fault accident. So I just want to get your permission to go after that as soon as we get the funding, and probably have the funds and seized assets now to go ahead and do the purchase and then just go back in. But that's where it would actually be funded from that sale of seized assets.
Any questions for Chief Glass? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, second.
Second.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Mayor will recommend this full council next week.
Okay, thank you.
That's all we have.
All right. Economic development.
Ms. Crossan?
Thank you. Good evening. An exciting thing coming up next week on the 13th. Walton County has been invited to come down to the main offices of economic development in Atlanta to do a virtual bus tour. Usually they load up the project managers, drive all around the state, you see lots of cities. And honestly, by the third or fourth city, they all start looking the same. They're getting maps, everybody's doing their promo. And so they're changing it up this time, and they asked different counties to come to them and redo a room in their offices, in their space, to showcase county and city. So we've been working really closely with Shane, the Development Authority, and we'll be going down next Tuesday to showcase Monroe and all the cities that are in Walton County. But we're excited about it because we're really going to look great and shine. It'll be very creative and memorable, and hopefully that'll be a great way for us to just promote all the advantages of locating in Walton County. If nothing else, all the project managers will know Monroe and know Walton County if they don't already. So we're excited about that. That's next Tuesday that we'll be going down there. But before then, we're in the season of festivals and activities from here on out as far as our city events and downtown events. We'll have Fall Fest this weekend and the Paws in the Park road race that we do to raise money for Childers. First year we did it was last year, very successful. We were able to build the dog park completely out of the funds we raised through that. This year we're doing it again, and that money will go back into Childers to continue developing that park. And also, the exciting thing this year is other private individuals are doing events alongside it. So the First Time Methodist Church has coordinated their big fall festival at the same time, and then at the Walton Mill, they're going to be having an arts festival at the same time. So we love to see that when private individuals kind of come alongside and do great events. Just like when we have Food Truck Friday and the Movies at the Mill, we love it when we have private individuals doing great stuff alongside. So that's this weekend. That's a big weekend. And the next event that we'll be doing is the Light Up the Night on November 5th. This is also, that'll be the grand opening of the Monroe Visitor Center, which will be located in a historic city hall. That's also coordinated with the opening of the museum. You all will be getting postcards invitations soon to events connected with the museum opening and the visitor center. That group has been working very hard. I think we're going to be really proud of what they're putting together. And we'll be excited to finally have a visitor center to put all of our information in one place for visitors. So that's November 5th, and we're working hard towards those dates. Other thing to be aware of is that DDA has figured out that the sprinklers in downtown are working, and we're going to update that sprinkler system where they will water the plants and also move to larger planters. So when it comes spring, we'll have prettier flowers for longer, and hopefully won't have to rely on the runarounds for watering. So we're trying to get all that squared away before the winter planting. So you might see people working and using our sprinkler system. We haven't used it for many years, but now we're going to be using it to help keep downtown beautiful. There's a lot of businesses, a lot of great new openings and things transitioning. Sanders is open again down across from the Art Guild. Posh is under new ownership, and I just wanted to point out this story because Posh was closing. They announced it on their Instagram that they were going to close, and one of their customers, who's a Monroe native, went to them, and she actually called her husband and said, "I'm going to Posh to buy everything." And he met her there and said, "Why don't we just buy it?" And he also just opened a business in downtown too called Top Dog Contracting over on Midland Road. So he has opened a storefront. His wife has now opened a storefront. They have 2 young kids. They live in Monroe, and that's a great story because it's local people starting their dreams and trying to do it here. So if you haven't been by to meet those new owners and businesses, please do. You'll see signs up right across the street of another local business owner expanding into retail in downtown. That's really fun. So I'd be happy to answer any questions related to that, but things are feeling exciting, good momentum when it comes to economic development.
So I just have one question. If the council members and the mayor want to ride the zip line Saturday, they'd be able to do that?
Of course.
Go right behind.
It'll be right out here. here. We will have the zip line. And also, we have tons of volunteers that help make this possible. So we'll have church groups, we have the ROTC from Monroe Area High School. And this is a community effort that makes it possible. So thank you for choosing to fund these events and help us make it possible for Public Works Corporation and public safety. This wouldn't be possible if we didn't have city support. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sadie, if I could get you to touch on the resolution that Paul's going to be
Yes.
reading tonight, just about that entity and what they're going to be doing.
Yes, this is a resolution that shows city council support for the Downtown Development Authority applying for the Downtown Development Revolving Loan Fund through DCA. We've had a number of these projects in downtown, and this particular one is for 101 North Broad Street, which is where Rents is. And the owners of that building, the Carters, they renovated the apartments above, the basement space below, and updated the windows and some of the interior of the main commercial space. The Downtown Development Revolving Loan Fund is permanent financing that comes in after the renovations have been completed. So this is a resolution that just, you can read it, obligates the city in no way to money or paying for it or even receiving it. It goes to DDA and the DDA passes it on through. But the DCA, Department of Community Affairs, requires evidence of municipal support. So this would be the evidence of municipal support. So that's what that is. We do one like this every time we have a downtown development revolving loan fund that comes through. But we'd be happy to answer any questions about the resolution. This is the last step, this resolution, that they can set the closing date and receive the revolving loan fund.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Sadie, are we having many people take advantage of the facade grant currently?
Yes, and DDA, we allocate $5,000 a year to the facade grant, and we've never given away the full $5,000, but we've given $4,500 the first year, and we gave close to $4,000 last year, and we've given $2 away this year. So the Sanders Design and Consign, that facade improvement was a facade grant helped fund that.
Okay, items upcoming, we'll have a public hearing and a rezone on 1035 East Spring Street.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try and keep these as brief as possible. This first item is 1035 East Spring Street, and here we're applying for a rezone from business zoning to residential at that address. Basically, just to discuss it, we had a meeting with the Planning and Zoning Commission last month. Their recommendation was to deny the motion was made for approval, but it was denied by a vote of 2-1. The recommendation of the code department is to deny this rezoning as well. Basically,
So, how many people were there?
3 out of 5. One seat is vacant, and the fourth was not able to attend. So their recommendation was to deny, code department's recommendation is to deny. Basically, the conclusion was that it's not really a function of zoning to help reduce somebody's tax bill, which was the purpose for her requesting the rezone. And the future land use plan shows it as remaining as commercial or retail.
Patrick, the properties on either side of this one, zone commercial?
There's really not one east of it, but to the west, Big Wiggly and such as that, that's all.
I thought there was another residence next door.
There's 2 residences on the same parcel.
But in there another, maybe I'm wrong, but I was under understanding that there was another property owner.
Oh, on the
Residence.
shared driveway beyond her, yes, that's all, yes, I'm sorry, you're correct. All of that is zone commercial.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Patrick, when was this zone commercial?
When we originally adopted our zoning ordinance, as far as I can tell, which is 73.
Was it ever by petition of the current landowner?
I'm sorry?
Was it ever by petition of the current landowner?
I don't think it was by petition of the current landowner. It's owned currently by an estate.
And she is, yeah, and it stayed in the same family.
Yes, it's in the same family.
I mean, it's almost unfortunate
But
for them.
at some point a long time ago, it was probably residential, was it not?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
before we had zoning, it was
Her parents.
just land. It was just part of the city. Until they adopted the zoning overlay and assigned zoning to everything. They also, at that time, gave everybody opportunity to petition for a change of zoning before they set the zoning as they were going to install it, so.
But that's been a residence forever, correct?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
it's
two
not-
residential homes on.
But that has never been operated as a commercial entity. It's always been operated as a residence. Is that correct?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
And it's actually never changed families since
That's right. The
73.
same families had a residence there, I think, the whole time, yeah.
But, yeah, that was the whole story on that. It was just basically a request to rezone in order to reduce the taxes on it. We did look into it, and as you found out as well, the houses are being taxed as residential structures, but the land is being assessed as commercial land. So that's about as low as it could go without the land being commercial. And since it's basically on our commercial corridors, and the future land use plan shows it as remaining commercial retail. That's the reason for the recommendation for denial.
Any more questions on that one? Next one is a zoning variance, 1401 Alcova Street.
So this is for Ron Cantrell Construction, the contractor who built the Catholic Church, St. Anna's Catholic Church. Basically what this variance is asking for is to remove the requirement for sidewalks along the road frontage on the development. There's 1,700 plus feet of sidewalk that's required by our development regulations, and they're seeking to be relieved of that burden. The recommendation from the Planning Commission, which kind of surprised me, was to allow them to install the sidewalks when the city gets out there with their master sidewalk plan. The reason for it being included in the development regulations is so that it be done at the time of development, so that when we get there, that's not an asset we have to install, and it's not an asset that we have to find somebody else to install at that time. It should be done at the time of the development. With all that being said, their recommendation, like I said, was to allow them to do it whenever we got there with our master sidewalk plan. The code department's recommendation is to deny because it is a requirement of the development regulations to do that at the time of development. I passed out a sheet, I think you all have it in front of you, for some items that you might consider on the project. And if you have any questions on them, I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, you can read and digest that at your leisure between now and next week.
I have a question, stating that the permit has not been closed out.
Yes.
What's the timeline on those items that have not been addressed?
Well, they need to be addressed immediately if they want to close out their permit. They have a few things to do as far as stormwater control and erosion control things and the sidewalks. We've tried to accommodate them in every way possible in order for them to be able to utilize the building on the time frame that they were hoping to do so. And that was starting in July. So when the fire marshal the state fire marshal who had jurisdiction over the building itself issued the CO for occupancy of the building, we agreed to allow them to go ahead and start having services there so as not to inconvenience their parishioners. But they should have been aware, and I'm sure they are, that they have some more to do, and we have not done our final inspection on all those items.
Okay. Item C, variance for a sign at 426 West Highland Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to step out
Okay.
because I own the property, so just let me know when I
Okay. As Mr. Purvis stated, this is a variance request by Purvis Property Management at 426 West Highland Avenue. They're asking to have a variance on the setback for signage that they want to install on the property. The sign that they propose is compliant with our sign ordinance, except for the fact that there's nowhere convenient to put it on the property that it would be highly visible. What we've come up with is a recommendation, the planning commission and the code office come up with a recommendation for approval with conditions. And the conditions would be that the property owner indemnify the city in regards to the hazards in the right-of-way, similar to sidewalk display insurance we have required for downtown displays. We'd have to receive approval from the insurance, receive approval of any insurance and indemnification arrangement from the city attorney of any structure in the right-of-way, and make clear that any right-of-way improvements which require relocation of a sign is at the owner's expense. With all those in place, and obviously with the blessing of the city attorney to make sure we're not running afoul of any legalities, we recommend it for approval. They're asking for a variance of 7 feet over the right-of-way line. The requirement, just to make this clear so everybody knows, the requirement is 10 feet behind the right-of-way line. That came into effect with our new sign ordinance. Our old sign ordinance just required behind the right-of-way line. So just so those facts are in evidence as well.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Would you go get Mr. Purvis? Oh, that might just go. Thank you. Okay, we'll have an application for beer and wine and liquor sales at Citadel Food Mart. Request for the Monroe, Georgia official song.
I didn't know we had a song.
This is the Creek one.
Larry and Lee, y'all was over at Monroe area. Y'all know the song. Y'all know the song.
I know the song. I think Wayne probably knows the song, because if you ever dated or were around one of the Monroe Girls Corps members, you probably heard that song a lot. The song was written by Mr. Wayne Shields, who directed the Corps, all the years. The Corps members used to sing it incessantly.
Well, then, Larry, you should sing it right
I would, except I have a head cold tonight. So. I know Ms. Susan Brown has requested this to be adopted. She does plan on attending next week, and she will.
She's gonna sing the song.
She'll either sing the song or she'll have a recording of it being sung. So for people to hear next week when she comes, it is a great song. I mean, I think you've got the words to it, but it really just praises the city, and I think if we adopt that, it also, in addition to just having a song that praises the city, would be a tribute to someone who was a real asset to the city for so many years.
Okay.
I hope the music doesn't have a Confederate
No Confederate flag or anything.
I mean, no Confederate tune.
No tune.
Oh, okay.
Appointment to the Housing Authority.
Mayor, I'll just touch on that briefly. Ms. Cooper, her term is up. They have asked that she be reappointed. However, it's obviously open for appointments. Anybody else they might want to recommend for appointment, now is the time to get that bio filled out. We'll need to do that next week.
Okay.
And I noticed that we don't have an appointment down for our planning commission, but yet we're minus one. Are we, what is that process?
Well, we haven't had any bios turned in. I have approached at least one person, I don't know if y'all know, but Kyle Harrison, who expressed an interest in being appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I just don't know if he's got his bio back in yet. We have provided that to him to get back to us and for consideration.
We'll actually add that to the agenda for next week. If we can't, bios are turned in, we can't find anybody to recommend.
I think we have some other groups that don't are not full either, so that we might want to do a reminder to everybody, Matthew.
HPC, I believe, is another, so yeah, we'll have that taken care of next week.
Yeah, we have one item requiring action, with the resolution for DDA revolving loan fund, real property.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution to endorse the downtown development revolving loan fund application by the Downtown Development Authority on behalf of JLCJ Real Property LLC. Whereas the Georgia Department of Community Affairs Downtown Development Revolving Loan Fund program is designed to assist cities, counties, and development authorities in their efforts to revitalize and enhance downtown areas by providing below market rate financing to fund capital projects in core historic downtown areas. Whereas JLCJ Real Property LLC plans to renovate certain real property and improvements located at 101 North Broad Street in downtown Monroe, Georgia. And whereas upon completion of the project, the renovated property will serve as commercial space with upper story residential apartments. And whereas the city has determined that the project will promote downtown development for the public good of the city. And whereas in order to help JLCJ Real Property LLC finance the project, the Downtown Development Authority of Monroe has applied for a downtown development revolving loan fund from the Department of Community Affairs. And whereas DCA requires evidence of municipal support for all projects that are the subject of a DDRLF application submitted by the Downtown Development Authority. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved by the City of Monroe, Georgia as follows. That the City of Monroe endorses the submission of the DDRLF application by the Downtown Development Authority of Monroe for the downtown project at 101 North Broad Street on behalf of JLCJ Real Property LLC and agrees to support the development of the project. So resolved the 6th day of October 2015. That is the resolution.
Thank you. Okay, any questions?
And that is the rents building.
That is the rent bill. Entertain a motion.
Move approved.
Motion by Ms. Monk, second by Mr. Bradley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution passes. We need to go into executive session for a little bit, so I need a motion to entertain a motion to go into adjourn to executive session.
Move to adjourn to executive session.
Motion by Ms. Dixon.
Second.
Ms. Scott, second by Ms. Dadcock. All in favor?